Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome. Good morning. It's a pleasure to see you here. I'm happy to welcome not only our attendees in the room, but our attendees around the world who are online logged into this event. My name is Robert Milstein from Thought Leader Global, and I'm pleased to open up the 22nd Corporate Fraud and Corruption Forum. A quick technical test for our virtual attendees. If you can see and hear me speaking, can you click on the smiley face at the bottom of your screen, which will have a thumbs up emoji, and that will confirm that you are able to hear us. That would be very good to have, so we can be sure that you're able to follow along. There's a bit of a delay, so we wait a few seconds for them to get the feed. It's good to see everyone again in a live meeting again. It's only the second such event that we've done in the last 16 months, so. Our virtual attendees are hearing and seeing us. Excellent. So it's an exciting, brave new world that we have for corporate meetings. I was looking at the news recently with Facebook changing its name to Meta, and it's really a sign of the transition to from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. Now international, not just meetings, but the way in which we relate to each other in the future, I think will involve a mix of in-person and virtual meetings. And not only that, but the way in which groups communicate in organizations and in daily life, and even the way they conduct business and make decisions, I think will be enhanced in the future with technology. I mean, eventually we'll even replace archaic video technology like what we're using now with something more in augmented and virtual reality, which sounds very scary, but maybe in 10 years from now will be commonplace. What that means for compliance people, I think, is that there'll be a whole new world of risks and opportunities. So it could be an interesting landscape in the future. But for today and for tomorrow, we're going to look more at the current challenges of corporate fraud and corruption, dealing with ethics, compliance culture, artificial intelligence in detection of fraud, compliance program performance management, investigations, trainings, compliance and joint ventures, third parties, speak up culture, and getting sponsorship for compliance programs. The uniqueness of the event that we have is that you'll notice it's not targeted so much on things like exhibitions, but more on senior level attendees from large corporations where you have good targeted intimate networking between people who are responsible for compliance and investigations in large companies to get a chance to benchmark with each other. And it's very international, although this year, the in-person attendees, I will admit, are a lot from the UK due to current events. But we have virtually an audience from all over Europe and beyond. And I'm really glad that we have the opportunity to let people join the way that they're most comfortable doing. And so into the future, we'll have more opportunities for people to come travel here, or they can join virtually, whatever makes the most sense in the time that they would like to do. Let me go ahead then and give a special thank you to the speakers that I've worked with many months on the preparation of this event. Some of them I've known since the very first fraud event we did in 2010, if you can imagine. And as well, thank you to our event partners, Norton Rose Fulbright, K2 Integrity, Conversant from OneTrust, and Fact 360. They were critically important for the success of this event, believing in the idea of bringing people together even during this year for this kind of an event. And they were open to the idea of hybrid, and which is very much appreciated. So thank you to the event partners, and it's appreciated. There is no fire drill planned for today, but I understood that the emergency exit is that way, and there's some signs, and then you make a right. And our hospitality manager is the fire marshal as well for the building, so we're in good hands. So again, it's really nice to see people face-to-face and virtually and be involved in a meeting like this again. What I'm going to do now is introduce our chair for the event, who's going to say a few words. Then we're going to go offline while we prepare for the first session. Our chair for this event is Jeff Cottle, partner, Norton Rose Fulbright, based in the US and the UK. So he's working transatlantic on all kinds of compliance and legal issues, has been at many of our events as a speaker and as a chair, and can give all kinds of experience both from the in-house and the external counsel perspective. on compliance programs, investigations, legal issues, third parties, and a million other things, too numerous to mention. I should say sanctions too, because there's an extra session on sanctions he's talking about tomorrow. So I'm happy to hand the microphone to Jeff, who will say a few words. And thank you in advance for being here, all of you, and thank you, Jeff, for chairing this event.
Pleasure. I won't use the microphone. Do I need to use the microphone? I do.
For the live.
Oh, dear. Okay.
For the virtual.
So great to see everyone in person. It has been too long since we've all been able to meet in person. And just a couple quick notes, biographical notes, I guess. So I split my time between London and DC. That's been a sort of virtual process rather than a physical one over the last couple years. But we're really happy to sort of recommence these in-person meetings. And part of the reason we were so committed to doing this in person is because of the way we like to run this event. This is not your typical massive conference where you kind of get talked at, right? The point of this thing is to be able to ask questions, to be able to make input. It's supposed to be a dialogue. So please take advantage of that. If you have a question, pop your hand up. We'll do our best to answer it. Just a reminder, we're not under attorney-client privilege, so don't be too specific about particular facts. But we'll try to address any questions you have. A lot of what we're going to talk about is pretty sensitive, so we're going to be under Chatham House rules. Everybody know what that means? Is everybody nodding? For those of you that don't know what it means that what stays in this room, what happens in this room and what's talked about in this room stays in this room, if that's okay with you. Just so that everybody can feel comfortable being as open and honest without straying into the bounds of privilege or highly sensitive information. So please feel free to ask any questions, jump in at any time, pop your hand up. We like to run it so that we don't wait for all the questions at the end. Don't think you have to do that, because part of what the speakers want to do is they want to address any burning issues you may have in their subject area. So, Rob, are we going to go offline for a bit?
Yes, indeed. We are going to take a quick break while we prepare for the first session. To the virtual attendees, quick tour of the platform so that you're able to engage as much as we are. Basically, in the upper right corner of your dashboard is a people button. You can click on the people button and you can see who's logged in at any given time. And you can search by name or company name and you can see who's online. And you can click on a profile and you can send private messages to anyone during the entire event. You can click on the messages button and then you can send private messages to people. And then if you go out of that, you click the X button, there's several tabs. There's chats, Q&A. Chats is where you could just make general comments to everyone during the event, during the sessions. And then the Q&A, the most important button. You can ask questions, and please do ask questions, write questions to the speakers, and we will involve you just as much as the people in the room. So right now we're going to take a few minutes break, but what I'd like for the virtual attendees to do is we're going to send you to the lobby, and you're going to see a bunch of tables with chairs. I would like to ask each of you to click on a chair at the tables. Each table is a private virtual conversation. Go there, meet your colleagues, introduce yourself, who you are, why you're here, why you're involved virtually in the Fraud and Corruption Forum, what you'd like to learn. And we'll see you and you in a few minutes for the next session. Thank you, and we'll be back in just a quick moment.